just getting everyone in the room.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Can hear you.
Excellent. Thanks, Alan. Let me get, just going to make Shane co-host. Awesome. Okay, let's rock and roll. Friday Q&A session. Let me get my screen up quickly in terms of the process. So just reminding you that every Friday we try and run a Q&A session to just talk about what's happening in the world, where we're at, what's happening with the deals, and if there's any questions that people have around the courses. And also that I won't be providing any financial advice or my colleagues or anything. We're just giving you our thoughts, our processes, what we've learned, and most often our mistakes in terms of that process. So I thought pretty interesting today. Someone posted a day or two ago about that AI and whether AI was going to, be this big scary beast that was going to kill us all, or we could actually see it as quite a significant opportunity to invest. And I wanted to just know, and I'd love it if you could put in the chat box, how many of you have seen the session on data centers? So let me show you what I mean here if I share my screen. So if you go to Wealth Hackers, you can literally go into the classroom and you can go to Asset Class Mastery and you can go down and you can go to data centers. Where are they? Shane, why are they? Oh, there it is. I'm going blind. Data centers. So you've got the session on data centers. Okay, if you're in Private Wealth Global, same thing. You go to your classroom, you go to Asset Class Mastery, and then you've got data centers. Okay, so they're both of you, whether you're a Wealth Hacker or a Mastermind member, you've got access to this. So this is a fascinating conversation that we had. And before I go any further, let's just see in the chat box, who has seen that, who hasn't? Nope. Anyone? Has anyone seen it? Let's try a different question. Has anyone seen it? So that I know if I'm talking to, or I'm just repeating, or where am I at? Okay, so I'm going to assume that without an overwhelming yes, that no one has seen it. So let me paraphrase what is in there basically. So firstly, there's a gentleman that's been a shareholder in our company since 2017, and he has been investing in data centers and currently has about $5 billion worth of money invested in data centers. He's out of Singapore, Hong Kong, I can't remember. Anyway, he's out of the east. I think it's Singapore. And but they've got data centers in America, they've got data centers in England and Europe, and they've got data centers in Southeast Asia, and they've started building them in China as well. And anyway, he came along as usual for our Asset Class Mastery, and he taught us about data centers. Now, the most important thing that I would share with you, which I found profound, is that, and I can't remember the exact stats, so don't quote me exactly, but it's something like the average data center takes the amount of electricity of 150,000 houses, and a data center uses that electricity per month that the houses use in a year. Okay, so now put this in a perspective from a politician perspective. They don't want to kind of sign off on data centers because they're a massive draw on power and they have a massive impact on infrastructure. Are you with me so far? So to build supply is very difficult to get planning permission. Forget about the technology. It's very difficult to get planning permission. So supply is severely constrained because the last time I checked, there's no plethora of electricity anywhere in the world. Like every country is struggling to meet their electricity demand. So no politician in their right mind is going to, just sign off on this stuff easily. But on the other side of the fence, the demand for data centers is doubling every 6 months. And whether we like it or not, whether people are scared by that AI video or not, it's happening. Like you can fight the tidal wave, but it's coming whether you like it or not. So my logic is, and we've all heard this thing 1,000 times, you can try, if you're investing in crypto or you're investing in the next kind of tech startup, then it's like being a gold miner in the gold rush. Like you're literally like trying to go out and find the next gold nugget. But as we've all heard 1,000 times, the person that made the most money is the person who sold the spades to all the gold miners. Because whether they found gold or not, they still bought a spade. And so for me, data centers is the same metaphor. Because every crypto company, be they Facebook, Amazon, or some little crypto company you've never heard of, they all need data centers, every single one of them. And if you've got a situation where supply is constrained and demand is doubling every 6 months, you've got to admit that's an opportunity. Well, in my world, that's an opportunity. So to put this into perspective, you've all heard me tell the story, I'm sure, where in 2009 I was in Bondi Beach, and I'm just going to close my door here. The dogs are barking. So in 2009, I was in Bondi Beach, and I met those two very, very wealthy gentlemen. And we just had the financial crisis. I'd only been investing in houses and apartments. Didn't matter where I'd invested in the world, they'd all taken a bloody hiding. And I said, well, what are you investing in? They said, medical buildings. And I'll never forget the conversation. I can even remember where I was standing. And I said, why medical? Like, I've got all the degrees. No one's ever taught me this stuff. Why medical? And they said, think about it. No matter what happens in the world economy, people need doctors. I was like, yep, that makes sense. Secondly, doctors never leave their premises. And I don't know about you, but when I go to my childhood memories, my doctor's premises are still premises. The doctors died, but the premises are still medical premises. And the third thing is that doctors are very good at being doctors, but they're not great with money and accounting and whatever. So they sign good long-term favorable leases. I was like, this is like 101 investing. Like, think about it. You've got a tenant that never leaves. They're economically resilient and they sign a good lease. I mean, it basically doesn't get better. So anyway, so we from 2010 made a really concerted effort, and we invested a couple of $100 million into medical centers through the period of 2014, to maybe 2020. And then, to be fair, did I say data centers? Medical centers. But then medical centers actually did take a hiding in COVID, a black swan event. And I didn't see it coming. I thought they were bulletproof based on everything I've just said to you. But actually what happened was when we had COVID, all the hospitals did ICU, and all the discretionary surgery. Like last Tuesday, I had an operation on my knee. That didn't happen. So all the people that made money out of my knee operation, the surgeon, the anesthetist, the physio, all of those people, suddenly were making no money. And they were all our tenants. And so suddenly we didn't get paid. So I just want to be very clear. My lesson from medical is there's no 100% perfect investment. So I'm not saying data centers is perfect. But I do honestly believe with every fiber in my body that, like we bet on medical 10 years ago, I think betting on data centers for the next 10 years is an extremely solid view. Okay, so yeah, when I put that out now, the challenge that we've had, because I've been saying that for a year. So for the mastermind members, we did a session with the team in January last year. Actually, it was literally this time last year, and yet for a year we've not been able to find a data center. Okay, because it's easier said than done, because there is billions and billions of dollars coming into the sector. And if you listen to that recording on data centers, it was quite funny because we literally on the call, the mastermind members know how this works. There's 30, 40, 50 of us live on the call. And he says, we're doing this investment. It's $400 million, but we'll accept like a couple of, we'll accept investments from retail investors at like $50 million. And people were typing on the chat box, did he just say $50 million? Like, it's a different world, So when we come along and say, oh no, we're probably good for $500,000, like they just laugh at us, like in terms of that. So to put in perspective, and I don't think Alex is here today, but we've been talking to them, and we've actually, he won't get out of bed unless we commit to $10 million. Okay, and so it's like this is a different level. Okay, but my memory, and again, I don't know if this stuff is valuable to you, but we tried to get into medical for 2 years. I flew to America 4 times a year. We would go and see projects, we'd meet the partners, we'd and we'd come home, to South Africa. We were like not sure if we could do the deal or if investors would be keen. And then one day we found this great opportunity. It was 6 buildings. You've all seen the pictures before, I'm sure. And we sat down, and in America, when you sign the contract and you put down what's called a hard money deposit, so it was $100,000, you lose it. If you don't deliver, you lose it. And when I'll never forget, we were sitting at the boardroom table, and the guy who was organizing the deal, our partner on the ground, said, right, are you good for $6 million in 90 days? Now, that was 10 years ago, okay? So $6 million in 90 days. We had no one committed. We'd been talking about medical for 2 years, but we had no one committed. And we had to find $6 million in 90 days. Anyway, the short story is we did it. We closed that $16 million portfolio, and sort of the rest is history. Now, for me, 10 years later, because it's literally 10 years later, it's 11 years now, we're in 2025. The 10 million is the same metaphor. It's like, I don't have a project for you. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I can tell you when I find the data center, I will be going big because I really think it's the future. What scares me, and through all the training you've done, what scares me the most is having the right partner, because I don't know about the rest of you, but if the data center doesn't work, I can't fly over there and bloody fix it. Does that make sense? So this is that moment where due diligence, the track record of the partner, the ability to execute, all of that stuff, has to be at the next level, because it's all good and well to say data centers, but I guarantee you that not all data centers are the same, and certainly not all data center operators. And I mean, I don't know, when you watch that recording, I'm not going to repeat it all because you've all got access to it, but there's things to take into account like cooling and this and that. And I mean, again, I speak for myself here. I wouldn't have the first clue what to even ask in terms of what's a good data center. So the way we get around that is we find partners with track record, and we find partners where other institutional players are putting in money and we're just coming along for the ride. And hopefully through all the training you've done, you start to see the pattern. Yeah. So when I see, I'm not going to say it's fear mongering, because I don't want to say that. But when I see these things of like, AI is going to, destroy us and whatever, they said the same thing when cars came out, by the way. They literally did. They said the same thing when we moved from the agricultural age to the industrial age, and now everyone was going to be thrown off the land, and all the farmers were going to die, and all the servants working on the farms were going to die, and it didn't happen. So I think something that, Thane, if you wouldn't mind making a note just so I don't forget, I really think it's time to redo the presentation on Society 5.0. So I'm not going to do it now because this is a Q&A, but what I will do as a benefit to our wealth hackers, I'll have to update it. But in simple terms, I'll just show you one slide here. Here it is, yeah. Okay, this is the slide I want to show you. So this was actually created by just again, do me a favor in the chat box. Have you heard of Society 5.0? I'm just interested. Anyone? I love working with you guys. It's so easy to add value. Okay, in terms of teaching. Okay, so Society 5.0 is something that the Japanese came from, and they actually brought it, they launched it at the World Economic Forum. And in simple terms, we got Society 1.0, which was the hunter-gatherer society. We got Society 2.0, which is the agrarian society. We got Society 3.0, which is the industrial society. We got Society 4.0, which is the industrial information society. That's what we've been in since sort of the launch of, maybe the 80s. Some would argue the internet, but anyway, it's certainly been the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and last 10, 15 years. But we now are entering Society 5.0. We've been here for about 5 years. And if you look here, you've got AI, artificial intelligence, you've got big data, which is where we're crunching all the numbers, and we've got IoT, which is Internet of Things. And if you look down the bottom here, big data will be collected by Internet of Things, which will be converged into a new type of intelligence by AI and will reach every corner of society. As we move into Society 5.0, all people's lives will be more comfortable and sustainable as people are provided with only products and services in the amounts and at the time needed. So what's so interesting here is that just by the way, would you like me to do a presentation on this? Like I'm not going to do it now, but would you like me to almost do a masterclass on all of this? Yes, no. I know it. I don't need to do it for myself. Okay, Willoughby would like it. Okay, Willoughby, you and I'll have a one-to-one. You're the only one who wants me to. Oh, and Candy. Okay, so if you look here again, you've got the hunting society, agrarian, industrial information, then you've got the creative. I love this because I'm creative, so I'm like super excited by this. So what it basically means is you've got digital transformation. So everything in our lives is being digitally transformed. And you've got imagination, creativity of diverse people. And you've got problem solving and value creation. Okay, now, again, to put this into perspective, I'm just going to show you one more slide, is that Society 5.0 is all about problem solving, value creation. It's about diversity. It's about decentralization. It's about resilience. And it's about sustainability and environmental harmony. Now, there's ways that entrepreneurs should behave in this. So there's Entrepreneur 5.0. There's ways that you should invest as a property investor. There's Property 5.0. There's Wealth 5.0. I don't know if you've ever seen this stuff before, but there's 5 things that you should do within Wealth 5.0. And I want to see if I've got the slide here. I hope I do. Oh, I don't have the slide. Okay, I want to just find the slide very quickly for you because there's one that I even created. So if the whole world is moving to 5.0, the way we live, the way we run as businesses, the way we invest, the way our wealth works, then my logic was, why don't I get Scott 5.0 and design my life based on the principles so that I could set myself up for success. So I've probably gone way off track now in terms of talking about AI. But can you see how if you're clear on these future trends, how they should be impacting your investment strategy? Because whether we like it or not, it's happening. We can fight against it. We can send videos saying that it's the ex-boss of Google and we're all going to die and be eaten by robots. Or we can embrace it, know the gold rush is coming, and sell spades. So I wanted to open a debate. I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to get context to this morning. And I love what Susanna said about what we focus on and the media love fear. I agree with everything she's saying, but I always believe there's 2 different perspectives to everything. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure that AI is going to have a significant impact on our lives. But I mean, any of you that aren't already using AI, I strongly, strongly recommend it. I mean, I don't know how I lived without ChatGPT. Really, the amount of stuff we do on ChatGPT is phenomenal. And I mean, that's the baby steps. So, yeah, I think I just wanted to give kind of context to that. So I will plan with Shane to do a masterclass in the next month on the whole thing around Society 5.0. I'll have to update my, because the last time I did it was 4 years ago, but I will update it. And then what's really important is that you can then set yourself up for success, like hopefully I have with Scott 5.0. Shona, I just see you or Alan as the first 2 faces there. We need Alan 5.0. We need Shona 5.0. And for me, that is not only how we live, but how we invest, what our wealth looks like, et cetera, et cetera. So I always apologize for these things. I always get into trouble for confusing people. But hopefully you start to see, as the more time we spend together, how much substance there actually is behind what we've built, if that makes sense. So it's not just 2 people in a garage that went, hey, I tell you what would be a good idea. Why don't we build a platform to help people invest in property? There's been so much more to it. And over the last decade or more, as these trends are evolving, and particularly AI and big data, IoT, the things we've just spoken about, They're literally unlocking and democratizing access to what previously wasn't available to everyone, including the knowledge, by the way. Okay, so Candy said it's a logical progression. Utilizing technology as it becomes available. AI is definitely up the game of practicality in every business. Completely, Candy. And I think one of the things I'm a bit nervous of is that in our company, Alex is the one driving our AI. So, I mean, he's younger than Shane and I, and he's taught me. I don't know about Shane, but he certainly taught me a lot of how to use it. I don't think we're using it not even 5% of its capabilities. So, it's something I'd love to enhance and dramatically. I don't know, Shane, if you want to talk to this. I mean, Shane's he's got a far better understanding of these systems and how they work and where the future's going and everything else. And yeah, I mean, Shane, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but any thoughts from your side around this kind of AI and systems? And you know what? One of the things that I just wanted to point out with what I read to people is primarily around personalization. So 20 years ago, Alan went to a financial advisor and they said, "Oh, you low risk, medium risk, or high risk," and they stuck you in the box and that was it. Whereas now everyone wants personalization. They want, what is it for me? What can I get? And that's not just investing. That might be shoes. Nowadays you can design your own shoes and have them 3D printed. But anyway, Shane, over to you. What are your thoughts on AI personalization, kind of where the world's going?
Yeah, so thanks, Scott. I think first of all, I taught Alex, everything he knows about AI.
Fair enough. Okay, it was you then.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think when it comes to a personal point of view, AI, it just helps you speed up definitely the day-to-day tasks, what you're doing. It helps you. I mean, it does a lot of thinking for you, but it also helps get the thinking process started as well if you're trying to do something. Yeah, so I think, like, from a personal point of view, it helps everyone. Business point of view, definitely. Yeah, I don't know.
And what are your thoughts on? I don't know if you watched that little video, but in simple terms, what the video said was, they ultimately, AI will start to get its own intelligence, and then they'll become smarter than humans, and they can basically write their own code, and effectively Terminator could become a reality. I mean, that's simply what I've heard from that video. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I didn't watch the video yet, but it's definitely something that could happen. I mean, I've heard stories of machines creating their own machines already. So that's already happened, like, long before ChatGPT came out. So that is a very scary thought. So it definitely can happen, and that's why I'm always very polite and kind when I speak to ChatGPT. Just hoping that the robots will spare me one day. I'm just kidding.
You're like that slave owner on a plantation. You know that you're doing it wrong, so you're kind just in case they revolt one day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Shona, I know you're a bit scared of it. Like, the one reasons I like to live in Africa is that we like seriously behind the times. So if the robots are going to kill everyone, they're going to kill it in the first world. Like, we'll just be chilling in Africa because. But anyway, okay, cool, man. Well, thank you, Shane. I appreciate that. I think the thing that's blown me away in the last 2 years, more than anything, is how fast it's escalated. Like 2 years ago, none of you even knew what ChatGPT was. Well, I didn't either. Okay, just for the record. Okay, and you consider what's happened in 2 years. Now that's 2 years. Now you extrapolate that forward to like 2030, 2035, and I even battle to process that. Like, what does that mean, and how do we plan for that, and what do we do? And I'm sorry, but I keep coming back to it, and I keep saying, like, let's just own the data centers. Because even those machines have to operate out of a data center. Like, that has to be somewhere. So anyway, I always put it out there. I did put it out to the whole community in December. I mean, we've got 1,300 shareholders around the world. We've got investors in 178 countries. I'm like, surely someone knows someone that's got a good quality data center. Like, surely. So we are trying to use what I'm going to call crowdsourcing. But yeah, it's hard when I don't want to compete with BlackRock, but I want to invest alongside BlackRock, but it's trying to get a seat at the table. I mean, last year when I flew to America, I can tell people now because it hasn't happened. But when I flew to America, I went to look at one of the opportunities. It was a data center being built. Microsoft was the tenant. It was being built by guys who were ex-BlackRock. I lie. They were getting their funding from BlackRock, and they were ex-venture capitalists, and they'd had an exit of like $2.5 billion themselves. So they had a long track record of successful business. And they were quite new into getting into data centers, but with Microsoft as your tenant. And we had a ticket for $10 million. I was super excited about that because it's Atlanta, one of the best cities in America. Microsoft is your tenant, investors that have substantial backing. If BlackRock's coming into the deal, that they've done their DD. And but anyway, the hold up there, and I must actually follow up, but the hold up there was they were still trying to finalize all the details with BlackRock, and the year ended. So, but I mean, for me personally, like, what an awesome way to get started if you could, in that. So let's. I want to just ask, because I've sort of monopolized the conversation around this whole AI thing. Are there any other questions that anyone has about anything? So it might be deals, it might be up and coming deals. So just for the record, for those of you waiting for Manhattan, so let me get my PowerPoint up. If you haven't seen the presentation I did on Monday night. So this deal is going live. We were meant to have it live by Wednesday. And the only challenge we've got at the moment is we want to give people the opportunity, so Garth Wallman at the mastermind level did a presentation in December last year. And he said the best opportunity is where we do a blend. So a blend of debt and equity. And so depending on whether people do debt or equity, the returns are 6 to 12% cash on cash, 14 to 23% target IRR, a 4 to 7 year hold. If you put in 100K, you would look to double it within 5 years. So an ROI of roughly 20%. It's an old church that's been converted into 50 luxury units. It's literally 1.2 Ks from the New York Stock Exchange. So it's right in downtown Manhattan. I mean, you can literally see here, there's the building and there's like the financial district. And anyway, we're trying to get that live. The only thing that became a stick in the mud on, I don't remember if it was Tuesday or Wednesday, was they've come back to us and they've said, if we invest in the debt, it's fine. But if we do the equity, we've got to be an accredited investor. So in America, that's, I don't know if you know, but in America, there's a distinction for an accredited investor. Now, Shona, I'm just picking on you. I don't know if you're an accredited investor. And the point being is it doesn't matter whether you are or you aren't. We as a company, because we're coming together, if we want to do the equity, we need to fill in the forms as accredited investor. So it's just created a hurdle we haven't dealt with before, because we want to be able to give people the option between debt and equity or a blend. But at the moment, that's been up. So I've actually got a meeting after this call to try and understand what we can do. I mean, personally, I'd still get involved for debt. I mean, if you're getting a 10 to 12% cash on cash return in dollars in Manhattan, it's a pretty solid return. Was I being stupid? Did I share my screen when I was showing you this? Yes, you did. Okay, cool. So I suddenly had a panic attack because I saw myself and I wasn't sharing the screen. So, okay, great. Will it be asked, will China take over data centers as they aren't bothered about energy? Interesting. It's a great question, actually. So there's obviously a lot of data centers going in China. Our partner, like I told you, is based out of Singapore. And he's doing a lot in Malaysia. So Malaysia is the hotspot for data centers in Southeast Asia. Singapore is too small as an island and they've got too many constraints on power as it is. But Malaysia is like just over the pond. It's like the English Channel. It's hardly any distance at all. So Malaysia is a real hotspot for And what is interesting is there are places that are hotspots for data centers. So like either countries, or in America, it's states that have embraced it and actually gone, hang on, like let's make this thing happen. A good one, as example, is Phoenix, Arizona. Another one is Utah, where they do have excess power, and they've gone, right, let's embrace this. Let's build. We'll be the data center place, because obviously it brings economic investment into the state. It employs people. What are you showing, Shane?
Or just something you can look at when you've done your next point. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Okay, yeah, this is pretty cool, basically. But yeah, just to finish my train of thought, and then I'll share. So what's important, again, back to partners, and that's why I'm really appreciating getting the information and reading about it, is there's certain areas that you want to be focusing on, certain countries, in America, certain states, because obviously you want places that are pro data centers. This was a little comment that the Changer shared with me here, where Safina, who's a wealth hacker, finished the data center training. I finished watching the data center training this morning. Wow, I didn't know that much about data centers and investing in data centers. What an eye-opener. Thanks, God, for bringing quality and experienced speakers to teach us. Seemingly, data centers will be in demand and growing, especially with the growth of AI and computer processing technology. So, yeah, I just, I would, if, of all the asset classes, it's one of the ones I would certainly go and check out first. And, yeah, I suppose the question we all got to ask ourselves is how the hell to find an opportunity. It's all good and well to know about it, but it's another thing to actually invest in it. So it was my goal last year. I know it was Alex's goal, and we tried quite hard. So I'm not going to say we didn't try. But this year, I'm going to keep trying. You know what I mean? So there has to be, where there's a will, there's a way. There has to be a way to get into them. So, and that partner that's doing the stuff in Malaysia, he told me that he should have an opportunity for us in January. So I actually followed up with him yesterday or this morning, I can't remember, and just said, hey, how are we doing? It's the end of January. When can we participate? So yeah, in terms of that. Okay, let's pivot. Any questions? Any other thoughts around where we're at? Any questions about any of the courses? Any questions about anything for that matter? How can I help? Have you got any updates on the March Wealth Weekend? Evan, great question. So Alex and Shanika are just finalizing the detail. I mean, the dates are fixed. Nisna is fixed. Even the accommodation is fixed. We're just trying to put together we're just trying to get the final quotes from them around costs to do the stuff in terms of that process. We actually talked about it yesterday, because one of the things that we could do is do it like, so what we did when we went to what's the Cradle of Humankind, we sort of collected all the money and then paid for the venue, and that sort of created quite a lot of conflict, if you want to call it that. When I did my buyers trips, I didn't get in the middle. I wasn't the middleman. I was like, hey, Evan, we're flying to Atlanta, we're staying in this hotel, book yourself a room. We're flying to Texas, we're staying in this hotel, book yourself a room. We're flying on this airplane at this time, book yourself your flights. And I had a travel agent that could help people do it. But I didn't get involved in, trying to be a travel agent or a tourism organizer or whatever. And I actually said to Alex, why don't we just cut out all the admin and just like say to people, look, we're staying in this hotel from these dates, and because they've got 50 chalets there. And the reason I'm choosing that venue is it's nothing fancy. I mean, it's nice, but it's not fancy, But the nice thing, we're all in one place, 50 chalets, very similar to 58, where we can walk to the conference center and we can go and, we can get in a bus and go on the boat and, that type of stuff. But we're all in one place versus kind of being scattered around Nisna. Yeah. And to your point, Evan, that also, if we allow people to do their own bookings, it kind of opens up a little bit in terms of, costs. Because, I mean, the problem we had with the Wealth Weekend in August, September, was, we had people telling us, it's too much money. How are you making, why are you charging so much? We lost 200,000 Rand. That Wealth Weekend cost us 200,000 Rand, which for those of you who aren't Rand-based people, that's like 10,000 quid. And I don't know, but I'm not really in the game of working hard to lose money. That doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, but yes, Evan, we're on it. And I mean, in the next couple of days, it needs to get out there, finalized, tell everyone what the plans are. Castle Heights. Maybe it was all me. In terms of that process. Yeah. I am the other thing we're looking at is for those of you, depending on where you are in the world, we've got the event to get together. So I know, Shona, you and I spoke about it on the 7th of Feb in London. I don't think you need to come to the workshops. By the way, I used to do live workshops. That's how we built the business. And then I've been online. I've been doing webinars since 2008. But since COVID, I've done no live workshops. Okay, quite frankly, I prefer staying at home here. I know I'm sounding terrible now, but staying home and then it's a beautiful day, and at 4 o'clock I'll be on my boat. Versus flying to London and stuck in a hotel and airports and everything else, plus all the risk. But everyone's been telling us, no, you're wrong. You need to go back to doing live events. So we're trying to navigate this path. But for the wealth hackers and the mastermind members, etc., I think. I'd love your opinion, by the way. I'd love your opinion, actually. And do me a favor, this is just an impromptu survey. If I did a live event now, a year ago, before you knew me or whatever, would you have come to a live event, or would you have preferred an online event? Just as an example. I'm just interested in feedback. I know that it's skewed because, you're here and therefore you liked it, and someone who doesn't like online is not here. So I know the data's skewed. But anyway, my point being is that, so we've been trying to navigate this path, but at a mastermind wealth hacker level and shareholder level, I'm very determined this year to create environments for us to get together, because this whole like-minded community thing is 100 times more powerful when you're actually face-to-face. Like, you can learn the knowledge online, but you can never have the human connection that you have in a room. Okay, so that's what you just said there, Evan. I can honestly say that I learned more at the weekend than anything online, and I agree with you. I also find, Evan, and I don't know if everyone else is like me, but if I do an online course, I did one with Russell Brunson at the end of last year. I think it was 3 or 4 days, and it was my time. It started at 5 p.m. and it finished at 2 in the morning. So I was listening the whole time, but honestly, I was working. I was updating. I was building school for Private Wealth Global for the mastermind. Like, I was listening, but kind of doing other stuff. Whereas when I'm in a room, like physically, at a physical event, then I'm there properly. Then I'm 100% in the room and paying attention, so just interesting. Okay. So Shona said, maybe it was promoted by someone I'm familiar with, also just another person selling. Yeah, no, I hear you. I don't know the perfect answer in terms of the process. Like, as I said to you, I quite like the online environment. But I do even if I do all the online stuff and we still get together for community stuff, then that's what we'll be doing. But yeah, we've been trying to navigate it in terms of that process. In terms of these Q&As, what I would really appreciate as well is if people want to ask questions, you either put them out in the public group or just send them to me directly. Because what would be so valuable and how you can get the best out of me is that if you send me questions, and particularly if I can think them through, I'm pretty good at speaking on my feet, so I don't want to be arrogant, but I can come up with it pretty quickly. But if you can think it through, like the AI one today, I consciously thought about it. I was like, right, I want to be able to show you these different things. I can add more value. So, my request is you're giving your most valuable asset, which is your time. And on the assumption you're giving your time, I want to add as much value to you as possible. Does that make sense? So I really would appreciate if people send me questions. And even if you send it to me one-to-one, remind yourself that the only stupid question is the one unasked. Because you'll be surprised how often someone asks a question, I answer it, and like 20 other people are like, oh, wow, I'm so glad you asked that because I was thinking the same thing. So no worries. If you don't have questions, that's great. But what we are doing, and by the way, Alan, this is based on some feedback from you, is that we're actually going to start doing 3 live sessions a week. Okay, we haven't finalized exactly when we're going to start doing this, but let's just say, I don't know, I'll have to confirm this with Shane and Alex. But the point being, what we're thinking is on a Wednesday, Alex will be live, and he'll be able to talk about anything platform related. How do I fund my wallet? How do I sign up? Basically help people through that process. On a Thursday, Shanika is going to be live to talk about anything related to school. How does school work? How do I get access to the courses? Where do I find my way around? Anything that anyone wants to know around school. And then on Friday, I'll continue to do the Q&A, which, again, I don't want it to sound arrogant, but it'll be at a higher level. So if someone says, how do I use the platform? I'll say, go Wednesday. If they say, how do I use school? I'll say, go Thursday. But on Friday, it's more high level. It's investment, it's deals, it's, you know, it's that sort of mindset. So yeah, Alan, to your point, along with the hand holding at a one-to-one level, we're also creating those rhythms to help people use the systems more effectively. Shona said, I got an email about Microsoft Copilot today. I asked my partner what it is. He swore a lot and said if he wanted to waste his time getting the wrong answers to stuff, he would ask me. That's very nice. Look, let's Google it quickly. But my assumption is that it's just Microsoft's version of ChatGPT. So yeah, so it looks exactly the same as ChatGPT. Microsoft Copilot is your companion to inform, entertain, and inspire, get advice, feedback, and straightforward answers. So yeah, it's basically Microsoft's version of ChatGPT. Is, again, if anyone knows better than me, go for it. I'm just hearing it. Thomas just said it's the AI of Microsoft. So yeah, it's basically the ChatGPT of Microsoft. Microsoft's a massive investor in ChatGPT, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same, algorithms working behind the scenes anyway. Just by the way, now I'm treading on very fine. I'm taking a very fine line. So I've got a bunch. I went to university in Cape Town, and I got a bunch of mates, and they're on all sides of the spectrum. So you got kind of very kind of conservative people, and you got very kind of woke left people. Okay, so Trump getting into power on was it Monday or Tuesday? Monday, I think it was. Like created a shitstorm on this like WhatsApp group between different people's opinions. But did you see I want to share it with you actually. Did you see this?
Hello.
Did you watch this? Anyone? Again, in the chat box, just tell me if you did or you didn't. So Donald Trump did a press, whatever you call it, thing with Larry Ellison. So Larry Ellison's the founder of Oracle. Sam Altman, that's the founder of ChatGPT, and Mayoshi's son, I can never pronounce his name, that basically built the biggest venture capital company in the world by many billions more, tens of billions more than anyone's ever done before. And they committed to investing $500 billion into America, into AI, and specifically into data centers. So Willoughby saw it. So like back to the whole, are you for Trump or against Trump? I'm not getting into a political debate because that can only go wrong. But I find that stuff very interesting because it's not just some guy, whether you like him or not, is irrelevant. Talking a big story and not delivering, it's irrelevant. You got three of the biggest tech people in the world with some of the most power and control in the world and the most money, and they've committed $500 billion into AI and data centers, specifically for AI in America, so on American soil. Again, I'm pointing out trends. Like what I'm good at is trend spotting. Do you see what I'm trying to do? I don't even know who Keir Starmer is. No disrespect, sorry. Yeah, so Shona, I mean, look, I mean, if you go Google any one of the three of them, like they're some of the wealthiest, most successful people in the world. And what I'm finding fascinating is for all the rhetoric about whether Trump is good or bad, he's certainly got some significant business people coming to the party and participating. And they're promised to the UK. Oh wow. Okay, sorry about that. you see how much I follow politics. To be honest, I'm sorry to be crude, but I don't give a shit about politics. What I do give a shit about is how that impacts our investments and where we should be investing, and blah blah blah. And I just thought this. I mean, you literally just go and Google what's it called, Project Stargate. So I mean, it's significant. It's the biggest investment ever made in a single project or something. It's like, again, don't quote me exactly, but it's something really significant. And it's all happening as we speak. It's all happened this week. Is America, because it's big enough, has the utilities and stable government? Yeah, I think so completely. I also think it's got a prime minister, to use the opposite of, what was his name again? Keir Starmer, where he's like, we're pro-business. We're stopping all this shit. We're stopping all this talk about politics. We're getting on with business. Do you want to give us your money and we'll help you make more money? Like, straight up. Like, I know it doesn't keep lots of lefties excited, but if you're a business person, it's a no-brainer. It's like, hey, we've got a banking-friendly, business-friendly environment, and we're going to roll out the red carpet to help you make money. And then the business people around the world. I mean, that guy, Mayosi's son, I mean, he's from Japan. So he's not an American, like endorsing American, whatever, patriotism. He's just a businessman. He's like, I'm going to put 500 billion in here and I'll make more money.
Scott?
Yes, Alan.
With this AI story, if you go onto this weekend and started in the new year actually, and you watch the webinars and people trying to get you onto their platforms, ABC, it's all about AI. I mean, this weekend, even your friend in Cape Town is running a course here with, you would know who, and they've got AI there and Kane and coming on with all this. The question I really need to ask is, what AI does UPU people do, diversification, or have I got to join one of those to learn about AI? Because you quite rightly say, and you've just given figures which is staggering, and these three guys at the moment. How do we get onto AI? Are you going to do it through your scene here, or do you advise I've got to go and log on to somebody else and register for AI? Because yes, I know I've heard AI and I've actually avoided it.
Yeah.
I've actually avoided it because I've got enough to learn about investing. But I know AI is linked to investing, so I think just some guidance would be good. No, Alan, we're going to do AI on here. Don't go and look. Or yes, go and look. Or we're going to put a program in place. And I think if we can get guidance on it, because it's a very, very important topic, as you say.
Yeah. So can I answer your question, Alan? And what comes to mind, there's two things that come to mind. The one is more kind of investment language, and the other one is just a simple analogy. So at an investment side, for me, you've got active investing and you've got passive investing. So active investing is where you go out, you do your day job, you're getting paid to do what you're doing. And passive investing is where you're lying on your couch and you're making money while you sleep, that type of thing. So to answer your question around AI, and I think it's a great question, taking into account everything we just discussed today, is that what Kane and them are teaching you is how to be active. So if you're 30 years old and you're trying to build a business, or 40 years old, whenever you're trying to build a business and you want to use AI tools, that for me would be AI applications in a practical way to help build your business. Does that make sense? In a passive way, my belief system is just own the data center, because every AI tool or application has to run on a data center. And therefore, as an investor, you are getting the benefit of all AI all over the world. And as it grows, as Kane does a better job at selling more people into AI, you benefit because the data center goes up in value. So that's the one way I would look at it. And the other way I would look at it is that it's that analogy I gave earlier with the gold rush. Like AI is a gold rush. I mean, it is 100% a gold rush. The American president's talking about it. You mentioned AI and everything, like it piques everyone's interest. It's the gold rush. And so rather than trying to go and mine the gold and figure out which is the next AI tool I should be building or using, just own the data center, which is selling spades. So I think I'm answering your question, Alan, where if you want to learn the applications to utilize AI, that's active, that's different, but that won't affect your investing. For me personally, as an investor, the benefit of the AI growth revolution, whatever you call it, is only the underlying infrastructure that enables that to happen.
Okay, thank you. clears a lot up.
Yeah. And that's why, I mean, I don't often use the word desperate, but I am desperate to find data centers. If we could find a good partner and just bring data centers out, and to answer your question, Alan, have them on our platform, have people to be able to access them, democratize access to data centers. So it's not just BlackRock dropping 400 billion. It's you and I being able to participate. Sorry, 400 million, not billion, 400 million. I mean, that would be a dream come true in 2025. We tried in 2024, so I want to be very clear. I've been 12 months trying, but we, we'll keep endeavoring to make it a reality. And if anyone's got any ideas or any contacts or any friends or anyone, put us in contact, because the most important thing I don't want to do is try go through LinkedIn and try find people. Like, I want to go through trusted networks.
But I think it'll be good if, like Alex, when he's lecturing us on the weekly or bi-weekly, that he just make clear so that you don't have people or stupid people like me running over now to go and register to do the AI. You've cleared up about Kane and whatever. It's not going to really affect my investing, just so that we're clear, because there's so much out there that's put out, and you just don't know where to really start.
Yeah. Look, Alan, for me personally, I mean, I know this has been a focus of yours. By the way, I used you as an example this morning, and in a very positive way, where this couple was in their mid-50s, and they were like, what would we do after business? And I said, and they actually knew someone else who was in their 70s and actually was getting so much fulfillment out of learning about investing and everything else. And I said, the story, I actually said, it reminds me of you, where you went to university, you actually studied investing, etc. My philosophy on this is that the thing I learned in 2010, you can go and do multiple courses. You can keep buying new courses. You can keep going on them, whatever. But the thing that I learned from Tony Robbins in 2010 is when you find an area that you like, go deep in that area, and you're in investing. So like for me, you're part of, as an example, you're part of the mastermind. Like go deep into that, get real value out of that, and you're not missing out. There's no FOMO. There's nothing like, you know what I mean. And if it's something else in a year's time, that's great. But the thing I learned, because I was the same, I was like doing 4 things, and then I never implemented them properly. I was gathering knowledge the whole time, but I wasn't actually implementing what I learned. And this is not just Alan, this is for everyone. Like, don't be that person that goes on another course, reads a new book, does another course, and never actually implements what you've learned, because then you're just gaining knowledge for no value.
Well, that's what I've learned, and that's why I want to share it. I've spent buckets of money going from this seminar to this seminar to learn this, because I've had the time. And I suppose what I should have had was a diversification to say what you're doing is a lot of nonsense. Focus on A, B, C, D. It'll include AI later. You don't need it to invest. But I wonder, I'll speak at a conference for you, get the people going. The fuck up, excuse me. Oh my God, the mistakes we make when we go into investing. And I think that's what I try and share, to stop people making mistakes.
Yeah, no, completely. And I think back to your question around AI, I mean, my strong recommendation to people is like don't chase shiny objects. So like I nearly said Alex, Shane said that earlier. AI is an enabler. Like, if you're good at business, AI is just going to help you get better at business. But don't treat it like a shiny trinket that it's like gonna suddenly just change everything. So however, saying that, if you're a business owner, if I don't know what the age is, but for my son who's 12, like, if they're not teaching him AI, like, it's literally teaching someone how to speak English. Like, it's part of his future, whether he likes it or not. And it's part of, I mean, I'm 47. Like, I guarantee you in the next 20 years, it's going to have a significant impact on my life. So I have to pay attention.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, no, Sean, I think this is again, it's that substance, and it's going deep that so many of us are guilty of, because we sign up to things and we don't. I mean, I did it. I still do it. Where I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. And I sign up. I did it literally this week. In fact, I paid for a $37 course, and then I got upsold $17, and I got upsold again $17, and I think I paid like $67. And I'm like so pissed off with myself because I paid my $67 and I haven't even looked at what I bloody bought. It's like ridiculous. So we're all guilty of it, and I think that's the point: is that when you find something, just by the way, at a mastermind level, that's also why we make the investment a decent amount of money, because then people pay attention. It's like, right, I've really committed to this, so that they stop trying to do 6 things, because we really want to help someone get a result, but we can't help people get a result if they're in a like not fully committed to the process. Like, I'm sure I've told you this story, but there's a doctor out of Johannesburg, South Africa, where she's paid to join the mastermind. She's never ever shown up. She's literally like, she's never had a one-to-one with me. She's never met with Kelia. The amount of time we've tried to speak to her, and I'm like, I truly don't know what she expected. Like, she joined the mastermind and just everything just magically works. I don't understand. It's made no sense to me. Anyway. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, well, unbelievably, I think we're coming to the end of one of the bigger weeks in our life, whether we like it or not. I think that the next 4 years is going to be radical, good and bad. And I think some of the things that have been put in place, and I want to repeat myself, I never look at politics, ever. But I have been watching what's been happening this week, because I think there's a lot of significant things happening. I don't know if you saw what happened just yesterday at the World Economic Forum, and tariffs and a whole, like, there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. So for those of you that are part of the mastermind, obviously we'll get an update from Anthony on the 19th of February. And for all of you, Clem Santa is on the 4th of March. So, and specifically with Clem Santa, I actually wanted to do it now, like at the end of January. And he said, no, Scott, I want to see what happens in the Trump administration for 6 weeks. And obviously the response from, because Trump can say anything he wants, but it's also how people respond to what he says, so that we can start to navigate, what those scenarios are. So I'm just trying to give you some sort of milestones coming up that we've tried to create consciously, so that we can all navigate this uncharted territory that we find ourselves in. But mark my words, this week will be a week many years from now that will be spoken about, I think, because I've been quite surprised by how quickly things have been implemented. And whether you like them or not, I mean, all I can say is credit, because a lot of stuff's happened quickly. Whether you agree with the policies or not, I'm not sure. But the point being is I've never seen things get implemented so quickly anywhere. And if that's a sign of things to come, then this next 4 years is going to be significant. It might be significantly bad. I want to be clear. It might be significantly good. I don't know, but I think it's going to be significant either way. Anyway, have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will see you live next week. And please don't forget to either post questions or send them to me one-to-one, or reach out to Shane or whatever, because the more you ask questions, the more we can add value. So everyone, bye then.